Johnetta Davis was a 23-year-old medical assistant living in Guthrie, Mississippi, a small town south of Jackson. She just had that energy, that smile. She just lit up any room she walked into. Not only was she a treasure to her family, she was loved by her co-workers and patients as well. She had plans to go back to school to be a nurse. But those plans changed when she met DeAndre Thomas. She met DeAndre at the clinic that she worked at. DeAndre had recently moved to Guthrie from Chicago. They just hit it off, and I don't know, I just think she liked his swag. You know, he wasn't from this town that we're from. He was from up north. Right away, DeAndre began to influence Jonetta's behaviors. She started to dress very provocative. She was drinking all the time, and she was partying all the time. And then she started wearing her hair down, and she lost her job at the clinic, and she was just with him every day doing whatever they do. DeAndre had sinister plans for Jonetta. Well, he didn't like all the attention that she was getting. Stay tuned for the next episode of Fatal Attraction. Every time we saw them, they was fighting. It was just back and forth arguing. It just never stopped. The next thing you know, he moved in with my niece. And everybody, we was all just so lost and confused. One day she said, I want to move to Chicago with him. And I asked her, you know, what do you want us to do with your house? She said, just leave it. I'll come back to it if I want to, or I won't. And the next day, they was gone. Jonetta moved to Chicago with DeAndre for 6 months with little to no contact with her family in Guthrie. Next thing you know, she come back home out of nowhere. And we was like, what happened? Why are you here now? And she said, I'm going to go back up there. I just need some time to myself and figure these things out. And it's a lot going on.
I was the sheriff at the time, and I get a call one day from Chicago PD. And they said they had a homicide up there. DeAndre Thomas. And I said, well, what that got to do with us down here? And they said, well, we got to notify his wife.
Johnetta Davis was now Johnetta Thomas.
We didn't know anything. My niece went up there to Chicago, married that man, and then she came back down here. Didn't say nothing about anything. The question was she here when he died, or was she there when he died? Because the circumstances were questionable.
DeAndre was found in a rival gang's territory with a gunshot wound to the head, but his body had been moved there.
And I said, well, if you want to come down here and talk to Johnetta, you come on down and talk to her. You can use my station. But she went and she cooperated, and she said he was involved in the gang, and it was too much drama, and that's why she came back down here. Well, you know, they just chalked it all up to gang violence. Well, you know, it was Chicago, and he had been to jail before, and that was the end of that.
Jonetta kept a low profile and grieved in silence.
A month later, Jonetta was gone. The family called me, and they said, we haven't seen Jonetta in a few days. Something ain't right. Everybody just thought something bad happened. So we all went down to Jonetta's house, and everything looked normal, except there was some mail on the table that had been opened. Something about a life insurance policy.
The policy was worth $1.3 million.
$1.3 million. We just didn't know what was going on at that point.
The next day, Jonetta's Jeep was found parked near some woods.
We found her car, and wasn't nothing wrong. Wasn't nothing seemed like foul play. Wasn't no blood. The doors were unlocked. It was above my pay grade, honestly.
Where was Jonetta? Months had went past, and nothing.
But one day, I get a call from DeAndre's mother in Chicago. She was going on about, Jonetta and him, and she said, we know Jonetta killed him. And I know them Davises, they good folk. And a neighbor told her that they were in their house arguing really bad that night, and someone heard a gunshot, and then it was just quiet. And then another neighbor said that Jonetta got in her car and she left, and she didn't come back until the next morning. And then she stayed in that house for 2 days. No one ever saw her, and they did not see him. And then she left and came back down here. I told her, we don't even know where Jonetta is right now. We don't know if she's alive, if she's dead.
It is rumored that during a heated argument, Jonetta shot DeAndre in the head. She put his body in a garbage bag, dragged him to her car, threw the gun in the river, and took his body to the territory of a rival gang to be found there. She then spent the next 2 days cleaning up the mess. She packed her things and she drove home to Guthrie, Mississippi in the middle of the night. Jonetta's family and DeAndre's family question, was this whole thing a setup? Is Jonetta a mastermind? The $1.3 million life insurance policy was sent to an offshore account in another country right after she disappeared. Where is Jonetta Davis?